Daniel in Sweden writes to me. He says, Paul, it's said that bass typically is mono, played equally in both stereo speakers, as there's no way of locating low frequencies, and it also gives the added decibels of having both speakers doing the same thing. It's clearly, some recordings, like Bird on a Wire, are clearly aimed at giving a stereo effect even from the percussion and the low frequencies. So how do you go about doing an audiophile recording when it comes to lower frequencies? Do you separate, mix, or even tamper, with the fundamentals and harmonics? No tampering. Well, that's a good question. Yes, typically the bass is in the center channel. So does that make it mono? Yeah, technically. I mean, when a voice is in the center channel, it means it's equal on left and right speakers. Therefore, it is mono. But I don't really look at it that way, though technically that is accurate. But I think that has more to do with simply placement in the mix than it has anything else to do. I don't think it's a purpose thing to get more bass into it. Like a lot of times at Octave Records, when I do a mix, depending on what the track is, I'll take the bass and move it over to the right a little bit or over to the left, depending on where it is. If you think, and that gives a little bit more spaciousness and life to the recording. If you think about an orchestra, the bass is almost always on the right side from the audience perspective, right? Because you've got the cellos and the double basses, they're all over on the right side. Unless it's a Mahler symphony, in which case some of the great Mahler symphonies have, just to be wacky, sets all the bass up on the left. But generally, in a situation, you have the bottom end is made by the strings over the right side. So it can be all over the map. Now, a lot of techniques are oriented towards giving a bit more directionality to the bass because Daniel is correct. As the frequency goes down, the directionality goes away. And the lower the frequency, the less the ear can tell what direction it is coming from. So a lot of recording engineers, including myself, and I don't consider myself a recording engineer, but I'm learning. We will take a second microphone. So you have, let's say you're doing a stand-up bass. One of the coolest ways to do a stand-up bass, especially if they have a DI, a pickup on it. So if you can combine a pickup, which is an electronic copy, and then take a microphone and get it up closer to where he's plucking or up here on the strings, that's where the higher frequencies are. And when you combine those two, or if you don't have a DI, some way of getting that low frequency, when you combine those two, you get the heft of the instrument, but you also get the directionality of the higher frequencies. And then we can take that whole mess and take it over to the right, over to the left, or in the center. But those are some of the things that we do to try and give some life and breathing room to bass notes. And so I hope that answered your question. All right, thanks for asking it. I'll talk to you tomorrow.